To understand what makes cryptocurrency valuable and interesting to so many around the world, it is first necessary to understand the issues of the existing global monetary system. This requires deep knowledge of economics. In today's lesson, we'll touch upon some of the main problems cryptocurrency attempts to solve and provide the foundational economic ideas that underpin the cryptocurrency revolution. So, if you're ready, let's get the lesson started. Cryptocurrency competes with central banks' fiat currency such as the US dollar, the euro, and the Armenian dirham. In Latin, fiat means by decree. In a lot of ways, this concept that money is controlled by people who are able to command what happens to it is the root of the problem that cryptocurrency aims to solve. Fiat monetary systems rely on the power of the state to dictate how much money exists, how it gets used, and who gets the easiest access to money. None of these things are inherently bad, but they do create a situation in which corruption and abuse become commonplace. As you will recall in our first lesson, What is Cryptocurrency?, the two key attributes of cryptocurrencies are that they are trustless and permissionless. This is drastically different than the fiat monetary system, which requires permission for access and trust that the system is being administered properly and fairly. Cryptocurrency was born from the ashes of the 2008 global financial crisis. This was a period in time when many of the shortcomings of the financial system became plainly evident, thus compromising the public's trust in these institutions. In centralized monetary systems, unaccountable elites get to make decisions that impact millions of people. Citizens are left with no choice other than to trust the centralized entity to be honest, accountable, and competent. This is a rather scary proposition when you think about it. Central banks are incredibly powerful. For instance, a central bank can create lots of new money, often without any input from the public or democratically elected officials. In the process of creating new money, they create inflation, debasing the money, which minimizes the purchasing power of the existing money. This essentially acts as a regressive tax on all the individual holders of money, which discourages savings and promotes the use of banks. Newly created money, when without strong safeguards, transparency, and accountability, can be given to insiders and friends of the central entity. Picking who gets newly created money over others is corrupt and unfair, distorting the marketplace. These improprieties have lasting downstream macroeconomic effects because they artificially direct capital, leading to bubbles and financial crises, such as was seen during the 2008 global financial crisis, or at its worst during the hyperinflationary periods, such as during the Weimar Republic in Germany or the Maduro regime in Venezuela. Perhaps worst of all, fiat monetary systems give countries the power to print money and go to endless war, as the cost of war gets hidden to the taxpayers and money holders. For these reasons, many in the cryptocurrency world don't view fiat money as real money at all, because they are backed by nothing but trust that the technocrats won't totally destroy the currency. Quite a stark contrast to the days in which currency was backed by gold, a finite resource that politicians and bankers couldn't create out of thin air. Cryptocurrency does away with the problem of centralized trust. The networks are comprised of multiple different players who have a say in decision making. As a result, power is limited because no single entity can exert undue influence. Between the node operators, miners who run a specialized node on the network for securing data, developers, foundations, masternode owners, as in the case of Dash, and finally the end user, no one entity is able to unilaterally impose its will on the network. Rather, consensus must be reached, without which a network's development and growth will stall. When uncompromisable disputes arise, as they inevitably do, projects break off, called forking in open source terminology, and form two separate projects for each faction of the dispute. The most famous example of this is the highly dramatic fork that created the two separate cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Some coins like Dash have implemented complex and innovative governance systems through masternodes that make it easy for the community to come to an agreement on how to direct their efforts so as to mitigate conflict. Ultimately, the end user, the holder of the cryptocurrency, is the most powerful of all the stakeholders, because it is their faith in the network and their economic activity that they bring with them that confers onto the network value. In cryptocurrency, one can freely choose which networks to be part of. Switching between one network and the other is incredibly easy, cheap, and fast. This free movement of users and inherent safeguards to prevent corruption by limiting the accumulation of power in the hands of too few means much less trust is needed for the networks to work as compared to the top-down driven fiat systems. Your homework for today's lesson is to subscribe to our channel and share the lesson with your family and friends. If you support the work we do, please consider supporting us by contributing to our crowdfunding campaign or becoming a sponsor. We'd like to thank this semester's sponsor, and Children of Armenia Fund, for their support of the Հայկական Crypto Debros. Co-op programs create and sustain opportunities for growth and progress in rural Armenia. Like them on Facebook to follow their updates. Our next lesson will continue to answer the question, what problems do cryptocurrencies solve, by focusing on the problem of permission. Bye for now, my lovely students. See you in the next class.